Hey, Shalom on Christ. Check, check. Hey, Shalom on Christ. All right, come. All right, so Shalom. Yahba Shem Yahshua Barakatah. To all the brothers, Yahweh Shemal Athan Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. To all the sisters, I'm Priest and Officer Kamadah, holding down the Lashawan Qadash class. You know what I mean? Today's Friday night, and we're gonna get into it. So, as if every Friday is the Lashawan Qadash class. If you have tuned in earlier on to the brothers in the East Coast or to the brothers in the UK, you know, they already got their classes in. You know what I'm saying? So the West Coast, follows thereafter. So that's what we're doing. We keeping the traditions that have been set. You know what I mean? So today's a Lashawan Qadash class. What is a Lashawan Qadash, right? If you're asking, you know what I mean? I was in on Clubhouse, and there was a heathen. What is a heathen according to the Bible? Somebody that is outside of the nation of Israel, right? Wrote an article talking about the Lashawan Qadash. Is it real? Right? He said that it's not real, this and that. But anyways, man, we're gonna prove that the Lashawan Qadash is the original Hebrew language. It is not the Yiddish. It is not the modern Hebrew. That is all garbage. That is all made up from the oppressor, right? Anyways, we have blacks and Latinos defending them, talking about, oh man, yeah, where the Lashawan Qadash scholars at, this and that, right? But at the end of the day, you know what I mean, they just want to justify how much they love everybody. And they're speaking lies on the Bible, right? I was in there with General Q and a lot of the brothers, you know what I'm saying? And, this was like about a month and a half ago, you know what I'm saying? And it was a brother and a sister on there, right? And she had the spirit of a damn man, masculinity. And the brother had a spirit of a effeminate, right? He was reading the scriptures, right? And he was reading and he was like, Qadash, like if he was singing, right? But the Lord is a man of war. We know he speaks aggressively, right? And this brother's over here is, speaking like an effeminate female, while the sister is speaking like an aggressive male. You see the confusion in that, right? There's a lot of confusion going on, man. But you're gonna get an order whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're gonna teach you how to read the Lashawan Qadash, right? We're gonna teach you how to write it as well. So right behind me, what you have is the Hebrew and the ancient, and then you have the Assyrian, right? So in the Hebrew, this is what it would look like. And we have connectors. This is what you would call a connector right here, right? And just how I will break it down when we go into the characters, into the letters, right? So right here we have the Lashawan Qadash, right? And this is what the Assyrian characters would look like. This is when we went into captivity under Assyria, right? And a lot of the Hebrew, you know what I mean, it got watered down. You know what I'm saying? So Lashawan Qadash, that's shout out to Officer Hazahav. He's a good scholar in the Hebrew language. You know what I'm saying? So right here, what you have is like if you was to be reading it in the English, this is how you would pronounce it: Lashawan Qadash. Right? This is what you be reading right here in the ancient and the Assyrian. Lashawan Qadash. Right? If you notice, Lashawan Qadash in the Hebrew is written from right to left. But if you was to be reading it in the English, it would be left to right. Right? Well, with the Lord, everything's done on the right-hand side. Right-hand side, from right to left, is how we write, is how we read. Right? So what is it? What does Lashawan Qadash mean? Right? Lashawan means tongue, which means the babble of the tongue, meaning the movement of the tongue, which, you know, it's a language. That's how you speak, right? And Qadash means holy. Holy in the Hebrew means separate or set apart, right? Which to the oppressor would say segregated, right? So it's a language that is separate from all the languages that you have on the earth, right? So if you speak Spanish, if you speak Portuguese, French, Italian, English, and you are Black, Latino, Native American, that is not your language. You are speaking the language of the oppressor, right? So we teach these classes to bring us back to our heritage. Speaking the Lashawan Qadash, or the ancient Hebrew, is going back to our roots. It's going back to our identity. And one thing that the Bible teaches, right, this right here would be Torah. That's what the oppressor would call it, the Torah. But in the Hebrew, it would be Torah, right? So, anyways, this right here is what you would have, or what you want to have, right? So I'm gonna flip it over. So it gives you the Hebrew on one side, and then it gives you the English on the other side, right? But the Lashawan Qadash class is so necessary because you want to understand what the Hebrew is saying. What exactly is it saying, right? And we read the KJV, right? We read the King James Version Bible. Why? Salagia. Why do we read the King James Version Bible? Because it is the closest translation to the Hebrew, right? King James did not translate the Bible himself, which everybody believes, right? He got scholars to translate it under his authority. He authorized, right, scholars that spoke both the Hebrew and the English to translate it from the Hebrew to the English, right? That's what he did. So he didn't translate it himself. He got scholars to translate the Torah, the Torah into the English. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're gonna go into the next. We're gonna go into the characters. Salakia, let me see where I'm at right here. Okay, so we have the sister Olivia, right? Shalom, sis. Yahweh Shemalatam by Hashem Yahushai Barakatah. It says modern Hebrew is afar off. It's to confuse you and keep you from true Hebrew. Modern Hebrew, sis. Modern Hebrew, right, is what they'll say. No, this is not. We don't speak. I don't spoke to a lot of Jewish people in my slavery, right? Because my slavery is in the Jewish community. And they'll come up and, you know, they'll tell me like, well, you speak Yiddish. It's like, no, I don't know. I speak Hebrew. I'm like, well, what is it? Is it ancient Hebrew or modern Hebrew? It's like, no, it's modern. It's Hebrew. No, we're talking about the ancient Hebrew, right? That's the Lord. That's the language that the Lord set for Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And we're practicing it, right? We're learning the ancient Hebrew, right? So when Christ comes back, that is the language that's going to rule on earth. Just like how English is taught in so many countries, right? The ancient Hebrew is going to be a language that's going to be predominantly spoken. You know what I mean? Look, we might force it on them but not like how they forced it on us with the sword, right? That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to take the oppressor's spirit and force it on people like how they did with the sword, right? But anyways, we're going to get into the characters. Okay, so like let me borrow 1 minute. Let me go find it. All right, so these are the ancient Hebrew letters right here. And we also gonna do the Assyrian. right? So we have the Assyrian. Now in the Assyrian, I'm gonna use color markers to separate or to distinguish two characters that are on. So like to distinguish two letters of characters that are on the alphabet. Right, I'm gonna underline. It's 5 characters in the red, and I'm gonna underline the same characters in the blue, and I'm gonna explain why. Right, so one thing that you're gonna see is that it is real different, the Assyrian from the ancient, just like how we seen it on the Lashawan Qadash, right? When I spelled it out, right? So we have the ka, the ma, the na, the pa, and taza that are double characters in the Assyrian. Now the difference is that the ka, ma, na, pa, and taza that are underlined in the red are characters that are used in the beginning or the middle of a word, right? And then we have the same characters, the ka, ma, na, pa, taza, that are underlined in the blue, that are characters that are being used only at the end of a word, right? That is the only difference between the Assyrian from the ancient, right? So I'm gonna leave it up for Salagia. I'm gonna pronounce them. Right? We have and it's the same way. Every time you will read these letters in a word in the Hebrew, it's going to be pronounced the same way. You're not going to be pronounced like, let's say, what's one word that like in the English an A will sometimes be pronounced like an I, or you know, or something like that. You know, we don't have vowels. That is something that the oppressor, the Jewish man, invented. Right, now I'll further explain that later on in the class. Right, so we have ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, cha. Right, the cha is you pronounce it using the vibration of your throat. Right, cha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, qua, ra, sha, the. Right? So I'm gonna leave this up for a quick minute. A quick minute. If you nowadays on YouTube, right, you can pause the video, you can zoom into it, right? Because you know we're moving along. So you could zoom into it, pause the video, zoom into it on your own free time. You know what I'm saying? So you could get the characters down. But if you want one of these right here, right? These are the tools that you're gonna need for every class, every Friday class. Lashawan Qadash, this is the tool that you need. Put your email in the comments so I can send one of these to you, right? So you could have your tools, just like how you had your tools for the oppressors learning, right? You want to have your tools to learn, right? For the Most High, so you can get it right. All right, so I'm gonna leave it up for a minute. I'm gonna come back. Okay, Salakia, we're under a New York minute. So we're right back at it. I'm going to erase this and I'm going to explain what I was saying, how these words are, how these characters are pronounced exactly how you seen them on here, right? Because the oppressor, he tries to put vowels and all that garbage into the Lord's pure language, and he does it to defile it. Right, that's what he does. When he puts vowels and all that, he's spitting on the Lord's language because he's making it from being. This is the thing. If you heard it in the world, so like it, to how do you say, to make a comparison in this way, right? They have the raw. Raw is pure, right? And then they cut it and they add something to it. Then they call it stepped on. And that's what the oppressor does, man. He steps on the Lord's language, man, when he adds vowels and all these, garbage into it. That's what he does, right? So the Lord is about purity, and we're teaching you a pure language, man. So, for example, we have the word, so why? Right, I'm not going to do the Assyrian. I'm going to just, so we could keep it pushing. But the way you will read it is to wow, right? So we have the connectors. We have the ta, the wa, and the ba together. But we have a connector with the wa and the ba. And 70% of the time, when you're reading a word, when it's three characters, the last two characters are always going to connect to make a word, right? So tawav, which means good, right? But the oppressor, the way he pronounces it is tov. I don't understand his language, but I know they say it like this, tov. So they say mazel tov or tov, whatever, right? Like that sounds effeminate, tov, right? Tawab, like it's heavy. That's what the Lord says that the Hebrew, right, in the Apocrypha, it says that when you pray in the Hebrew, it's that much more heaviness, man. And that's the reason why you got to learn. We don't touch on some of the prayers, the Lord's prayer, prayer for the Israel, prayer for your loved ones. You face the east. That's a commandment. You face the east, you throw your prayer up, man. But it has that much more power. That's what I want to say. It has that much more power. When you utter things in the Hebrew, I know it says when you say things in the Hebrew, it has that much more power, just paraphrasing, than when you utter it in a different language, right? So this is how the oppressor says good. They say tov, right? Like tov, like, But in the pure language, this is stepped on right here, tov. The pure language is tawab, right? Good, right? That's just an example of how the oppressor would take the because this is what they read. They read the Assyrian, right? So we have so like we have this right here. So wow, right? So they have over here some type of dots and whatever, some garbage, and they'll say told. But again, like I was saying, each character is pronounced exactly how I pronounced it. That's the ta, the wa, and the ba, right? But since we have a connector here, the wa and the ba come together, and it makes the word wa. How does that happen, right? So we have the wa and the ba. Now, if these characters were singular, you will see these connectors under them, which indicate that these are singular characters. Wa, ba, right? Now, the wa and the and that's another thing I'm gonna get into as well. which is let me see, Salakia, which is preposition and possessive. So if you were if you was to have the wa as a preposition or prefix, it'll mean and, right? But if you was to have the wa as a possessive, meaning or a suffix at the end of a word, it would mean his or he or thy, right? Thee, right? And then the ba as a preposition would mean in, on, unto, right? And there is no possessive or suffix for ba. So right? But when we have connectors and it connects two characters together, now we have the wa and the ba. But when they're connected, the a of the ba falls off, and you would have wab. Wab. That's how you would pronounce this right here. Wab. So we have tawab, right? So, you know, that's just to let you know how the oppressor's language is stepped on and is garbage and is effeminate. So, you know, like I was saying, I was in that clubhouse room, and you know, just to hear the brother, you know, read the Hebrew and the way he was reading it, you know, it sounded like a female. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord, he's a man of war. You know what I'm saying? He's a man of war. You know, you gotta pronounce that like a man. It gotta have some strength in it, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, you know, just to get into the topic, last week we were talking about how the Lord, you know, is you know, we would say racist. But what is racist according to the Bible? Racist is that he prefers a nation over another, over all the nations, right? And we're going to continue to prove it. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get into more precepts, and we're going to break them down, and we're going to get into some of the words that are in the Hebrew, right? So you can understand them, because there's root words. There's what is it called? Salakia, it's called the preposition and the possessives, right? So we're going to explain that as well, right? So I'm going to leave this up. So like I'm going to take it down. You could go back and pause the video on your own time. So like it, and you know, focus in. Nowadays you could zoom in, you know, just go in there, zoom in, and you could get these characters. So like it about that. So we just gonna keep going. So we're going to go into the book of Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Last week we touched on Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. How the Lord said that you know, just recapping, right? So how the Lord said that if we obey his laws, statutes, and commandments, how he will set us on high above. Yeah, what question? It's in the beginning. It's the New Testament. I mean, the Salaki, the Old Testament, or to be considered the Old Testament, right? But these are our records right here. These are our records. The oppressor separated the New Testament and the Old Testament, right? But the New Testament would just be quoting the Old Testament, because how do you know? Because Christ and the apostles, right? Paul, Peter, James, Luke, Matthew, they're all, you'll find it was written. And where was it written? It was written in the Old Testament. So what they were doing is quoting a scripture from the Old Testament. So they were teaching it, right? They were not adding to or taking away. They were teaching it, right? Because those are our records right there. Those are this right here is the Constitution of Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? So again, we were touching on Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, where the Lord said he will set us on high above all nations if we obey his laws, statutes, and commandments. What are some of his laws? Some of his laws are, you should not eat crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster. You find that in the book of Leviticus, the 11th chapter, right? If you love your mother, you love your children, or you love your people, you would not tell them that it is okay to eat crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster. You would tell them that it is a sin against the Lord to eat crab, pork, shrimp, and lobster. And that the reason why they're suffering under the health conditions that they're under is because they are committing a crime, right? Committing an iniquity. That is what iniquity is, according to the Bible, is a crime. You are breaking the law of the Lord, and you must be punished for your disobedience, right? Another one would be getting high, smoking weed, doing all kinds of drugs, right? Teaching somebody to get high or allowing them to get high is a breaking of the law. You know what I'm saying? Another one would be sleeping with another man's wife, right? That is sodomy. You are a sodomite if you're sleeping with another man's wife. You sucking on another man's rod, whether you make out with another man's woman or you go into her box, whatever whatever what have you. You're a sodomite, right? Another one would be sleeping with a man outside of your marriage. That's adultery. You back in the day, you would be put to death or you'll be hung for everybody to see, so that spirit won't grow on the nation, right? What else? Celebrating your birthdays, celebrating holidays that are man-made. Those are the things that are keeping you from being set on high above all nations, right? Another scripture that we got into that we broke down was Amos chapter 3 and what is it, verse 1, verse 2, right? How the Lord chose us. You know what I'm saying? So today we're going to go into the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Come.
The little marks in the bottom make the sound by itself, right?
Yeah, these ones right here, the upside down ones, is singular. The ones that are like a happy face are connectors. It joins two characters to make a pronunciation. Um, so,
You got questions too?
yeah, concept. What's the question, sir?
So Olivia Arnold said, "How old is the Lord's language?"
Man, the Lord's language is from the ancient of days, man. Look, it's from the beginning, right? Adam looked at from General Muhammad's breakdown, right? Adam looked at the in the skies, and he said, "Oh, okay, so that right there is cow, right? So whatever word will be cow in the Hebrew, right? But it was a language given to Adam from the Lord, right? He was inspired from the Lord to name every animal. You know, Adam had dominion over the earth, right? So Adam named everything, anything and everything, right? So it goes back to, from my understanding, it goes back to Adam, right? I don't know what language they spoke prior to Adam, but you know, the Lord gave Adam understanding, right? And another thing that would be from a brother named Ibaria, right, which is Hebrew. Um, so like I can't recall what Ibaria exactly means.
From the past.
In the past?
From the past.
From the past, right? So Ibaria, which is Hebrew, is from the past, right? So this is a language from the past, right? That's basically, you know, I mean, just like the Lord, you know, we don't know his timeline, you know, we don't know the timeline of the Hebrew, right, Ron, sir? Or can you add anything to it, sir? Or
It's about 4,000 years.
4,000 years, something like that. You know, like about around the time of Adam, right, sir? Around the time of Adam, 4,000 years, or you know, or so, right? So it is a language, but you know, it was a language given to Adam, and Adam handed it down to his lineage, right? And then from Adam's descendants, right? His prominent descendants would be like Noah, Shem, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 tribes, like that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you have descendants of Shem, which are, you know, out of Shem come out the oppressor, comes out the Chinese, the Japanese, and so on, you know. But nonetheless, this is our language. And because, you know, Shem was their father, of course, they learned that language. But nonetheless, the Lord chose, and that's what we're getting into. The Lord chose and has a preference. He chooses a people, right? You have a question?
I googled it.
You said what?
I googled how old is Paleo-Hebrew.
Oh, what does it say?
It says the earliest known examples of Paleo-Hebrew writing date to the 10th century BC.
Which is, does it say when is the 10th century?
The Phoenician alphabet, it is a slight regional variant and an immediate continuation of the Proto-Canaanite script, which was used throughout Canaan in the late Bronze Age.
Okay, so it says that it was found in the Canaanite. That's because we took hold of that territory in Canaan, right? The Lord, and I'll read it in the Bible. I'll read it in the Bible how the Lord gave us dominion over other nations' territory.
Deuteronomy, was it 7:1?
So I got it right here. Deuteronomy.
You want to read for that?
Con, I think it's 4:32. 4:32. So let me just make sure that's the one. Right, because we're not going to give you just what we feel. 4:32. We're going to read it straight out the Bible. Select it. 4 and Con, sir. If we could start off on 37, sir, Baba Kasah. 4:37. Con, sir. So we're gonna read it in the Bible, right? Because the oppressor says, you know, what does he do? He goes and he digs artifacts and all this, right? And it says that it was found in the 10th century BCE, right? And they say that it was found in the Canaanite region, right? But we're gonna help you understand why Canaanite, because the Canaanite is a son of Ham, right? That is a real African. Negroes and Africans are not the same people. So we're going to help you understand what's the reason why so-called Negroes were in the lands of an African. And this is why. The Lord's going to explain it.
Deuteronomy 4:37. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them.
So like I said, because the Lord loved our fathers, our progenitors, right? Adam, right? Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and he chose their seed. He chose their seed after them, Go ahead, sir. So like,
and brought them out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt.
right? And then we were in captivity, right? The Israelites were in captivity in Egypt under the real Africans, right? And then he brought us out with his power. Go ahead, sir.
To drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art.
Right? To drive out nations that were greater and mightier than we were. Continue, sir.
To bring thee in.
To bring us in. Bring us in where? Go ahead, sir.
To give thee their land for an inheritance.
There you go. To give us their land for our inheritance. That's what the Lord did for blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. He gave us the power. He gave through his strength and power, we took land from nations that were stronger and mightier than we were. Because the Lord loved us so much, he bogarted, man. You know what I mean? He bullied a nation out of their own land for our sakes. That's what the Lord did, man. He loves us so much that he said, man, I'm gonna take this land from these heathen, and I'm gonna give it to you, man. That's what he did. That's the reason why they find our language and in the land of Canaan, which once was known as the land of Canaan, right? Because the Lord helped us defeat them, right? And we took possession of that land, right? And then now you find our artifacts, and you find, our records and all of that, right? That's the reason right there. Because isn't it more than that, sir?
Give thee their land for inheritance as in this day,
right? So to this day, man, right? There's a people living in that and dwelling in that land. But guess what? When Christ comes back, we're gonna take everything that the Lord gave us in these days, right? We're gonna take it back. The Bible says this. It says, "They shall take the kingdom." Right? We're not gonna ask for it. We're gonna take everything that's owed to us, everything that the Lord gave us, man. We're gonna take it back. Why? Because it rightfully belongs to us. The Lord is the earth belongs to the Lord, and He gave it to us, man, for a possession. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna possess it once and for all. Once any more, concert. Go ahead, sir.
So Deuteronomy 7:1, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and had cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shalt show mercy unto them.
Right, that's perfect right there, man. Man, saying the same thing we just read, but this right here is adding on to it, meaning that we're not going to make no covenants, man. We're not going to make no agreements with them, because you already see what happened with the treaties that the oppressor had with the Native Americans, and they broke them all. We can't trust the heathens, man, because they don't have our best interests in mind, and we can't trust no covenants with them. Right? That's what the Lord said. We should not have no covenants. And in the same chapter is what we're about to go into. We're going to drop down to verse. So like this is 6, not 3. But verse 3 is saying how we should not give and make marriages with them. We should not give our children to make marriages with their children. Right? That is against the Lord. Interracial marriage is a sin against the Lord. You're not going to be set on high if you desire a woman or a man outside of your own people. Right? You're not gonna be set on high. If anything, the reason why you desire that is the reason why you are a second class, because you are submitting yourself under these heathens, under their gods. and they look at you like garbage, and they look at you worse than an animal. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're gonna break this down. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. If
Want to read it?
Khan, sir, if you can read it in the English. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6, and we're gonna read it in the English first.
Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art unholy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Right? That right there explains everything. And you're not going to hear these scriptures being brought out in the Christian church, or, you know, any house of Satan, any home of abusers of women and children. You're not going to hear these scriptures, right? Because they're going to teach you that God loves everybody. But according to Deuteronomy 7 and 6, and we know that God does not change. He is the same, just paraphrasing, he's the same in the past and today. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're going to get these words in the Hebrew, right? So we have kaya. Kaya is 4. Kaya, ow. You know, you'll hear this word ow throughout the Bible. Ow is and people. And people, now Qadash. One thing that the oppressor did, he added the wa in here, right? But it's supposed to be Qadash. That's the reason why you have fake Israelites say Shalom, because it'll say Shalom, but the oppressor added a bow, because, you know, he's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. And what he wants to do is, you know, confuse you, and he wants to add to the Lord's language. So he added the wa in here, but it's supposed to be Qadash, which means holy. Right? Holy. Then we have a th, which means you or thou. And we have la. La is a preposition. All right, I'm gonna circle it. Right, la as a preposition means to. Right, so if you tune into the Sabbath service, right, which is tomorrow, you will see the brothers. You know, when they setting up for Sabbath service, you have a brother that comes up. You know, he has a Torah in hand. I mean, so like he has a cup. He said La Yasharala. That means to Israel, right? That's what La, or it could mean unto, right? La is to or unto, and then we have Yahweh. So to, unto the Lord. Unto the Lord, right? And then we have Alahayim, and then we have a proposition, which is the ka. The ka at the end of a root word means he, him, or thy, right? Thy God. Thy God, right? Alahaya, so like Alahaya ka, right? So Alahaya means God. Now, sometimes you will see Alahayam, which is plural. Anything, every time you will hear the yum, right? It's plural. So it'll say gods. So it'll be speaking about the angels, the powers, right? But Alahaya Ka means thy God. So thou, holy, thou unto the Lord, thy God. So, it's saying, it's pointing out which God, the God of Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, Yahweh, right? Your God, thy God. Baka is the, and then we have Bakar. Bakar is chosen, had chosen. Bakar, shout out to Bakar, Officer Bakar 1000 out there in Vegas, right? Bakar, that's his name, means chosen. Had chosen, and then we have the Lord's name right here. The Lord. Then we have Alahaya Ka again. All right, Alahaya Ka, which means thy God. Alahaya Ka. And then we have La. We have a preposition. La. So it means to Lahayawa, to be. Lahayawa, to be. Lawa, unto himself. To be unto himself. La Ein. Right? Because right here we have Ein. When we have La Ein is La could also mean as a preposition. So like it, let me see. 2, 4, right? A. So a people. Right? Ein is people. La Ein, a people. And then we have Sagala. Sagala is special. Sagala. Then we have another preposition, which is the ma. We have makal. The ma as a preposition means of, from, right? Of, from. So it says above all. Cow. Cow is all, right? So above. Cow. So above all. And then we have ha, which is a preposition. Ha. Special. I'm young. I'm young. Peoples. The people. Right? So it says people. Right? So we have ha, I'm young. So the peoples. Ashar. That. Al is a pun. Again, we have Al. Where do we have Al? I thought I seen it already. So upon panya, right? Panya means face, right? The face. And then we have a preposition, which is the ha again. Oh, I don't have no ha. Arama. Arama. Of the earth. Right, this is what Deuteronomy 7 and 6 is saying. So, like I said, are you able to read it again, Book
76.
Concept.
Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art unholy people.
Right. So like it. For thou, right? Thou is a possessive word. For thou is like personal. You. For you are a holy people. Holy again means separate or set apart, or what the oppressor would say, segregated. Right? It's not a people that's integrated. Right? So for thou art an holy people. Go ahead, so like it.
Unto the Lord thy God.
Unto the Lord thy God, unto Yahweh, the God of the Bible. Unto him, the nation of Israel, because this is who it's speaking to. This is who is directed to. Unto them, the nation of Israel, so like unto him, the nation of Israel is holy, meaning separate. Right? Go ahead, sir.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee. It didn't say the Lord thy God has chosen everybody. The Lord thy God has chosen, nations. He didn't have a name of nations after this. They say the Lord thy God has chosen thee, who he's directing this message to, which is the nation of Israel. Go ahead, sir.
To be a special people unto himself.
To be a special people unto himself. Now when you look at us, we're at the bottom. But everybody wants to be like blacks and Latinos, man. Everybody wants to turn their cap to the side, wants to wear it backwards. Everybody wants to sag their pants. Everybody wants to wear a white tee. Look at the Japanese, man. They want to get tattoos, even though that is a sin. Tattoos is a sin against the Lord, right? They want to wear what they call them, muscle shirts, Dickies, high socks, Cortezes. That is a heathen trying to be like a cholo, which would be a Mexican, right? And then you have Africans, you have everybody trying to be a nigga, trying to be a Judite. You know what I'm saying? And why? Because we are a special people. Even though we're ignorant, we're still special because we got that flavor, man. The Lord made us with sazon, is what they call it in Spanish, man, with that flavor. Any more, Nessa?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Upon all people that are upon the face of the earth, man. Look, your uncle, he could be a gardener, right? And then the oppressor will be like, man, I could do this myself. He's just taking a few weeds out. He's just lining up my grass. Like, man, I ain't got to pay him. I'll do it myself. And then guess what? His garden is going to wither. And he's going to call that Mexican back up. And he's going to ask him to come back and do what he does. You know what I'm saying? And his garden could look, could look amazing. And guess who's what's going to happen to these farms out there in Florida? Because God's chosen people are not on these farms are going to start to wither, man. They're going to start to go dry. All these trees, all these plants are going to start to go dry because the oppressor wants to make a law saying that if you get caught up, hanging around or giving a ride to or housing or giving a job to a so-called illegal, which he's really not an illegal. This is our land right here. This is indigenous land, native land, which is Latinos and Native Americans. But you know what I mean? Blacks are our brothers. You know what I mean? They can you know what I mean? They can share this land with us. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's going to happen in these farms out there in Florida or anywhere, right? You could see on General Muhammad brought it out. An oppressor said that, well, what do you think it would take for oppressors to work the farms? He said like $30 an hour. You know what I'm saying? While they're paying Latinos $2.85 for 10 hours. That's like close to $29. You know what I'm saying? That is ridiculous. But these brothers right here are working hard. And because they're God's chosen people, they're able to make the oppressor's land thrive and make it fruitful. You know what I'm saying? And thank Latinos for your next meal, man. If you're a goddamn oppressor, thank the Latinos because you have, good strawberries, you have blueberries, and you have gourmet foods. You know what I'm saying? But once if Latinos were to stop harvesting and what do you call cultivating these lands are going to go dry, man. Like if a famine, that's what's going to happen. Latinos going to start working these lands, and a famine is going to happen, man. Any more on this? So like it.
The Lord did not set his love upon you nor choose you because you were more in number than any people.
Right, and that's it, man. We so like I said, I think it was this part right here, the above.
I read
especially people above all people. Oh, okay.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Right, and that's what the Lord said, man. The Lord said that wetback, that nigga with the heart GER, you know what I mean? That savage is his special people. You know what I'm saying? The other nations are gonna look at us like we ain't nothing, right? And that's my next precept. We're gonna see what the Lord thinks about them, because they have an opinion on us, right? They think because we out here gang banging, right? We out here drug dealing, we out here committing murder. They look at us like we are murderers. So like we are unalivers, right? And they look at us like we're scum and we are no good. But who was the first gangster, man? The oppressor. All those Italian mobsters, all those Jewish mobsters, right? Who was the first one? Reagan, right? Reagan himself was bringing drugs into the Americas while his wife had a war on drugs. That's what the oppressor does, man. He'll bring in drugs at the same time be fighting a war on drugs, man. Who was the first committing drive-bys? Al Capone, you know, the oppressor. He was the first one, but because they romanticized it in the movies, right now blacks and Latinos want to have gangster names like Capone. So like, which is Capone's a damn heathen. So like, with Capone, Lucky, so like
Peso Pluma.
Peso Pluma.
The heathen.
Oh yeah, Peso Pluma is a heathen. You know what I'm saying? He's a damn heathen himself. You know, he will be from the nation of Yashama'ala, which is a nation of Ishmael, right? And that's what they do. Peso Pluma, forefathers lineage migrated into Mexico, and they're the ones who truly have power in Mexico. It's not Mexicans, indigenous Mexicans. It is the Arabs and the Spaniards who have power in Mexico. You know, so anytime they'll switch. They'll go from a Spaniard president to what you call it, Arab president, and it'll go back and forth. But you'll never have an indigenous president like they did with Benito Juarez. You know what I mean? That would never ever. They will never ever allow that ever again. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it, man. But we're gonna see what the Lord thinks about these damn heathens. You know, what they call them? The Bible calls them Gaya, right? Gaya means nation, or it means what the oppressor will call a goyim, right? And let me get this right here, right? Because the oppressor, he doesn't even read the Torah. They'll say Torah, Torah this and that, and they want to come and question me if I'm celebrating the feast days in the Torah. But then they'll come in and they tell me like they kept this. I forgot which one it was, and I asked them, "Is that even in the Bible?" They're like, "No, it's not in the Bible. It's in the Talmud." So they follow the Talmud. They do not follow the Torah. They do not follow the word of God, because why? They're not God's chosen people. They hate God. They hate God so much they have to make their own book. And these are some things that are in their book. I'm going to read them, right? And this is in Soferim 15, right? This is one of their, it says, even the best of Goyim should all be killed. That's what they believe. That's what the Jewish man believes. So like I say killed, right? Even the best of Goyim, meaning of heathen, which they're really the heathen, right? Should all be unalive. Right? Now, when you think about that, who was the man that created the nuclear bomb? It was a Jewish man, right? Now, in Yebamath 98a, they say all children of Goyim are animals. Now, you wonder why they treat blacks and Latinos like animals, man, because that's what they believe, right? In Baba Mezia 114 and B, it says, Gentiles or goys are not humans, they are beasts, right? And the reason why they say this is because the Bible says that the beasts of the earth, right, which is all the nations, they're the beasts of the earth, right? But they believe that they're not the Goyim, and they are the children of the Goyim, right? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are not the children of the Goyim, but they are treated like heathens, right? Now in Gad, Shah 2 and 2, it says that a Jew may violate, but not marry a non-Jew girl. Now, Black, Latino, and Native American women get violated, man. They go missing. Why? Because the oppressor pushes this, and this is what they believe. This is what they believe, man. And that's the reason why Black, Latino, Native American women, every time I gotta get my phone and I go on Facebook and there is a parent asking for they seeking help to find their grandchildren or their daughters, man. Why? Because this is what the goyim, the true goyim, which is the Jewish man, believes, that a Jew, meaning themselves, may violate but not marry a non-Jew girl, right? Now, Abadah Zara 36 and B says Gentile goy girls are in a state of nadah, filth from birth. They look at us like filthy, man, right? The Chinese girl, the Arab girl, they don't look at them like filth, but they will look at blacks and Latinos like filth, man, like garbage, when they're the true garbage. But the reason why you get looked upon like that is because you do not have God's wisdom. You don't have God's knowledge, right? Because in the book of Deuteronomy 4 and 6, it says that this shall be, right, our wisdom and knowledge in the sight of the nations, of the heathen. Right now it says in Sanhedrin 54b, it says a Jew may have intercourse. I'm not gonna say the sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old, man. That's what these bastards believe. They believe that you can lay down with a little girl, with a minor, as long as they're under 9 years old. And they commit incest, man. They sleep with their own kind. And they're animals. They're the true animals, man. They're the true filth. They're the real bastards. Right? Now we have Sanhedrin 58b. If a goy hits a Jew, he must be unalive. Right? Let me see what's another one. There's many, man. But this is the thing. This is what the Talmud says. And the Talmud is contrary to what the Bible or the Torah teaches. What they call the Torah, but it's the Torah, right? What it teaches. Why is it contrary to the Bible? Is because they hate the Lord. Right? Nowhere in the Bible does it say, can you sleep with a minor that's under 9 years old? But why are they teaching this? Right? Another disgusting thing that they do is that they give fellatio to boys when they do the circumcision. You have a rabbi that puts oil in his mouth and he'll go and suck on the baby penis, man. And he'll commit fellatio on this baby. That's why all these Jewish women look at everyone as masculine and look at their own husband as girlfriends, because they are effeminate men, right? They have been abused by a pedophile, right? But Salakia, let me get back into the topic, man. Going back to what the Lord, this is how the goyim, the true goyim, sees blacks and Latinos, but we're going to see how the Lord sees them and every nation, right? Isaiah 40 and 17. Salaki, I'm going to leave that up for a quick second. Right, let me continue. Again, you can always go back to the class and pause the video and zoom in and get what's written on the board. Move on to the book of Isaiah. '40. And what I say in 17. Isaiah 40 and 17. And then I have a preset with what I'm going to in the Apocrypha, and then we're going to end the class. All right, so we have cow. Young. 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 Ka. Young. Young. God. Lord. God. Lord. Shopping. Okay. So we have Okay. So the ones that I'm circling in the green are preposition. The one that I'm circling in the blue are possessive, right? So we have cow, which means all, and then we have ha gaya, gayam, ha gayam, the nations, right? Nations. But we have the ha, which is the, right? Nations. Ka ayan, ka ayan. The ka as a prepossessive, preposition, as or like, right? As, and then nothing. So that's as, nothing. As nothing, the. And we have nagadwa. Nagadwa. So we have wa, meaning him, right? As a possessive, him, he, thy, his, right? So before him as nothing, before him. And then we have ma, so like it, and less than nothing. Ma apas. Ma apas. So apas, which is the root word, which means to seize and fatality. So like it, let me see. Less than nothing. Ma apas. It means and not nothing, right? And then we have a preposition of a ma, of, from, of, from, like less than nothing. So less than nothing. And then we have wa is and vanity. Fa wa, for what? Right? So for what? Formless confusion on reality. Right? We have vanity. Place of chaos, vanity. Vanity. They are counted. And then the root word is ashab. Ashab. Ashab is account, value, regard, esteem, right? That's what it's saying. Counted. They are counted. And then we have la and wa. To and then him. Less than nothing and vanity, they are counted to him. Okay. All right. So we're going to get that in the. You took it? All right. Isaiah 40 and 17. All right, so we have cow, ha gayam, ka ayan, nagadwa, ma apasa, wa tawa, nakha shabwa, lawa. All right, so it says all nations. So cow is all, right? All. Ha gayam is the nations, all the nations, right? So right here, you're in the English, you'll read all nations, all the nations. Ka ayan, right? All the nations as nothing. All the nations as nothing, right? In English, you'll say all the nations before him are as nothing, saying the same thing, because we have before, right? All the nations as nothing before him, right? All nations, and in English, you'll say all nations before him, right? So you'll have before him first, right? But if you are Latino, you know, sometimes if you say things in the English and you translate them into Spanish or vice versa, there's going to be words or things you say, just like this example here, right? Before him in the English will come before as nothing, right? It's the same thing, right? So all the nations as nothing before him. All the nations before him are as nothing, less than nothing, and vanity, right? And they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. So right here, you will have it the same thing. And so like ma apas, wa, so wa, tawa, ma khashabwa, la wa, right? Less than nothing and vanity, they are counted to him. And they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity, right? That's speaking about all the nations. That's speaking about Chinese, Japanese, East Indians, Africans, you know, Caucasians, you know, everybody that is not on the 12 tribe chart, everybody who's not of the nation of Israel, right, is counted as nothing. Like the Lord doesn't even consider them. We're going to read it again in the Apocrypha, right? This is the Apocrypha. This is a continuation of the Holy Scripts. So we're going to go into the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 54. And we're going to read exactly what this is saying. This is a precept to Isaiah 40 and 17 to help you understand furthermore what it's saying. 6 and 56. So like it says, we're going to start at 54. So like we're going to start at 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, right? After these, Adam also, meaning after these, the people who the Lord created, and Adam also, who he made Lord of all his creatures, of him come we all. We all come, because that's what a Christian is going to say. We all come from Adam. Yeah, that's true. We all come from Adam. But there's going to be a separation, a segregation that the Lord makes, right? And the people also whom thou hast chosen. So the Lord is saying, yeah, we all come from Adam, and also who the people has chosen, right? So out of all the people that come from Adam, there's a people that the Lord has chosen that also come from Adam, right? Verse 55, all this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes, right? The Lord made the world, or the a world according to the Bible means a society, a period, right? For our sakes. We're supposed to be ruling. And, you know, the Bible does say that the end of the world is Esau, and Jacob is the one that continued thereafter. Just paraphrase, right? So we're going to rule forever. We're going to have rulership forever. And it says, verse 56, as for the other people, now this is talking about the people who come from Adam, right? As for the other people, not the chosen people, we're talking about the other people, the ones that come from Adam, separate from the chosen people. Now the Lord's going to say this about them. As for the other people, which also come from Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing. Right? What does it say? Thou hast said, because the Lord said it in the book of Isaiah. That what? That they are nothing. All the nations as nothing before him, less than nothing. Meaning, you know, the Lord doesn't even consider them. Right? Salakia says no sound. Check, check. The power. Can you check to see if there's sound? So like the sister said, there's no sound. Okay. Check. Did it say check? Huh? Yeah? Okay. Come. Okay, there's a delay. So like, all right. No sweat. Right? So again, the Lord said it here in the book of Isaiah. What Esdras is saying, thou hast said, he said it already in the book of Isaiah. Right? Thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle. Right? Spittle is that, you know, when I'm speaking and there's a little bit of spit coming out of my mouth, right? It says they are unto spittle. That's how the Lord sees it. Like when spittle hits your face, like that is a disgusting thing. The Lord sees them as disgusting and nothing, vanity, right? And has likened the abundance of them unto a drop, right? Meaning it has likened the abundance. Abundance means, you know, a multitude. Their multitude, right? The majority of them, well, not the majority, all of them, the multitude of them, right? So log in. An abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. You know, meaning this, that if I have a pitcher of water, right? And I spill a little bit, I'm not even going to consider that. You know, I have no regards, or I don't care about that, because I have a whole pitcher of water, right? That's how the Lord sees these nations. You know what I mean? The Lord is not about integration. He's not about loving everybody. That is a lie that the Christian church has been telling forever on the Bible, right? That's not what our records truly say. Our records say that we're supposed to be a segregated people, a separate, a people that set apart, right, from all the nations, man. And once you separate yourself. How do you separate yourself? You start hating them. How do you start hating them? You hate their holidays. You hate their feast days, their foods, right? Because their foods is about delicacies. They want to, out there in Europe, they eat horse meat because that is a delicacy to them. But that is a sin against the Lord. They eat tuna, they eat all these disgusting, abominable foods, right? They're sodomites, all these things. Once you start hating them and their culture and their teachings, their beliefs, and the reason why you believe what you believe in is because you have been taught to believe these things, right? You've been trained. Why? Because it's propaganda. They put it on your face every day until you accept it, until you say, well, I'm open-minded. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? With the Lord, you got to be close-minded. You got to be narrow-minded. And the way you become that is by learning the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord. And that's the only thing that you're supposed to be protecting, the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord. You cannot let other teachings and other philosophies influence you, right? You cannot let any of these things influence you to make a decision on what you believe. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, this is one thing that you have to throw away, is the belief of the oppressor, right? And you have to learn the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord so you could stop being punished, right? Once you learn what are the laws of the Lord, you're going to stop being punished, man, because Blacks and Latinos feel punished every day. They're like, I don't know why I'm going through this. You know what I'm saying? Well, guess what? Once you learn where you're going wrong and you correct yourself, you're no longer going to be saying, I don't know why I'm going through this. Why am I being punished? You know what I'm saying? You have to take accountability, right? There's only two ways that you can grow. I mean, there's only one way that you can grow, right? You're either going to be told, right? If you're a female, you're told that you're a whore, you're going to feel disgusted. I'm like, man, I'm not a whore. I don't want nobody to consider me a whore. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to change. Or you're going to be like, I know I'm a whore. I get niggas and this and that. You have no shame. And guess what? That is the wages of sin. Death, right? And the same thing for a man. You're going to be told like, hey, man, you know what? You're a drug addict. And then he's going to say, you're going to be like, damn, a drug addict? You're like, nigga, you smell like resin. You'll be like, damn, I feel like an addict for being told I smell like resin. Like I'm a fiend. You're like, man, I got to change that. Like I'm never going to be called a fiend. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to be like, yeah, man, I'm a drug addict, but I'm smoking the best. But guess what? You sucking on a blunt with another nigga, man. You sucking on a blunt and you putting your lips on it and you putting your saliva and you sharing that, man. That's sodomy. You know what I mean? But with that, I'm gonna end the class. You know what I'm saying? I want to say Tawada to everybody who tuned in. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna close the class. I'm gonna say Shalom. Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shem, Yahushai, Barak Atham, to all the brothers, Yahweh Shamar, Alathan, Bashem, Yahushai, to all the sisters. And with that, tune in. Before you check out, like, share the class. You know what I'm saying? And keep tuning in. Tomorrow we're gonna have Sabbath service from 10 or so until 12. You know what I mean? So tune in again. Shalom.